Welcome back to the United Christian Marriage Podcast. I am coming to you straight from my phone today, okay? This is nuts. I don't ever do this, but it's going to be raw and real today. I have something that the Lord put on my heart, and I was absolutely not planning on doing this today, but here we go, and my kids are in the background, so you might even hear them. It's that raw and that real today. There you go. So if that's not what you're in for today, that's perfectly fine. Click off. Wait till next week's episode. I'll go back to being nice and organized, okay? But for today, we need to talk, okay? No intro, just we need to talk. So I am a part of a group coaching program called Systemized to Scale. And I'm also wrapping up my coaching certification right now. So I have probably like maybe a month till I'm done with that. It's self-paced, so it just kind of depends when I finish all the requirements and get through all the stuff. So anyways, so I'm doing that, plus I'm doing the other group coaching program, plus I'm doing some Pinterest work for someone, and I'm also running my own business. So it's been a challenge, guys, and there's been some moments where I realized I was putting so much pressure on myself to just go. And I went into the coaching call for the group coaching program with Chelsea Joe, Systemized to Scale. And I didn't even really know what I wanted to ask her. Genuinely, I didn't know what the question was. I just knew that I had to ask something because I was so overwhelmed. I just needed her feedback. So I literally went in and I'm like, I don't know if I have a question or if I just verbally need to process this with you, but I am struggling to figure out my next step. And then I broke everything down with her, told her, this is what's going on. There's this and this. And of course she, acted as the guiding light and led me to see that I am completely stressing myself out unnecessarily. And as I processed through that the last 2 days or so, I realized that this is happening to so many other women and so many other wives. I'm not the only one, and I wasn't the only one in the group either. There was, other people who are yes, this is 100%, I'm experiencing something similar. So I had to come on here and talk about it with you because I have processed through this, and now I am ready. I'm ready to talk about it. And funny enough, it tied in directly into a summit that I just did and then directly into the coaching curriculum. I'm not even kidding. It was divine order the way it all lined up. And okay, let me just start from the beginning. So what happened was I kind of got emotional on the call, which is not like me. I don't like to cry in front of people. I've always struggled with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with crying in front of people. And I am one of the most empathetic people you will meet when it comes to people crying in front of me. Yeah, there might be a little bit of uncomfortableness, but not as much as other people feel uncomfortable. I'm super comfortable diving in, giving you a hug, asking you what you need, if there's a way I can help, leaving space for silence. I've always been better at that than other people, I've noticed. But when it comes to myself, I struggle to allow myself to have that vulnerability. And I guess, I don't know why. I think it just depends on the person too. But this was a group setting. I really didn't want to cry in front of, the whole group. And I started to tear up because I was telling Chelsea that I want to just focus on what I know my step is right now, which is literally just giving all my attention to finishing my certification. I know that's what I need to do right now. But then I'm thinking about my live launch 3 months out. And I'm like, should I start prepping for that now? And like all the things. And freaking out. And it's all because leaving my kids is hard, okay? And to like finance this business, I had to go out and get a part-time job. So I'm only working once a week, but with my husband working full-time and then him having a little bit of a side hustle and then me doing all this work and then also working at the salon, it's just exhausting. I'm sure many of you get it. I'm sure you guys have things in your life that come up, or maybe it's just your normal routine like mine now, where you're just busy and it gets exhausting and it takes a toll on you. And I don't like feeling busy, especially in my marriage, like, because I get all the time with my kids and I don't always spend that intentionally, and that definitely takes a toll. But with my husband literally gone, that's where it takes the most of the toll. And I don't like feeling like I'm physically disconnected from my husband for most of the time. Obviously, I don't think anyone likes feeling that way, honestly. But so that has been hard. And that was why I got emotional, because this last week when I had to go to the salon, my 1-year-old was literally crying, clinging to the babysitter who is his aunt, I think, or great aunt. Anyway, so he knew her, but he was like clinging to her, like, don't leave, Mom, like, don't leave. He's like trying to climb out of her arms so he can like get to me. And he's not always like that. Often he's not. But he was this time. And it was sad. And it was hard. And just thinking about it and like trying to verbally process it to her caused me to get emotional, which is, again, not really like me. I feel like I've kind of had to numb to those feelings. And so they don't really show up as much as they maybe did freshly postpartum or freshly when I got the job. But it's just been hard. And I went from feeling like, okay, I have a decent timeline. I was still kind of rushing myself. Like, I'd been walking myself through some of the coaching tools, just noticing that, like, this feeling of being rushed and these thoughts of, oh my gosh, I'm behind, were coming up a lot and causing a lot of my issues. And that's why we're having this podcast, because I realize this is happening with other women. They're putting this pressure on themselves of like, oh my gosh, I'm behind, hurry, hurry, hurry. Feeling rushed, feeling like they're not doing all the things well enough, and feeling like they can't take something off their plate because then they would be dropping the ball, or it would mean something bad about them and their worth or what they're capable of. And oh my gosh, I just had to make this episode because I've been processing all that. And the truth is, your worth is not any less if you have to take something off your plate. It's not. You're not worth anything less. All it means if you take something off your plate is that you have more energy to show up well everywhere else. And that is such a blessing that, like, you can choose to be intentional about where you put your time and how you put it. And that will affect your marriage, that will affect your work, that will affect your kids. And I think so often my husband wants me to slow down, and I miss it. Like, I just miss seeing it, or I immediately dismiss it because I'm like, I can't. That's not even an option. Like, here's the truth, guys. I know this about my husband, and I know it's probably true about your husband too, whether you believe it or not right now. They want us to be happy. They want us to be happy. They want us to be fulfilled. They want us to have a second to breathe. They want us to be able to show up well for our kids. They don't want us so stressed out that we're snapping, that we're going, oh my gosh, this house is a mess. I can't handle this. And then we're going on this whole rant, and they're just standing there like, can I get a hello? Can I get a hug? Can I get a welcome home, honey? Like, our husbands desperately want that from us. And if we're not doing the work to make ourselves stop feeling rushed, because here's the hard truth, ladies, it is us. We're the problem. Okay? And oh my gosh, I can hear the objections right now. I can hear them. You're thinking in your head, oh, no, but if he would just help a little more. No, if he would just stop doing this. If he would just start showing up in this way. If you're thinking those things right now, just stop. Just stop. Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath with me. Now I want you to figure out what emotion you're feeling right now. And I want you to just name it out loud. Name it out loud. Whatever it is. And just tell yourself it's okay. It's okay that I'm feeling this emotion. It makes perfect sense that I'm feeling this emotion. And you know why it makes perfect sense? Because there's a story. There's a story that you're telling yourself behind that emotion. And it's probably one of the things that just came out of my mouth. Or it's something else. But here's the truth. We are the problem because we're the ones allowing ourselves to think the thoughts that are making us feel rushed. Oh, it's okay, baby. Real life here, guys. Again, sorry about this. Okay. I don't have any notes, so hopefully this is all making sense. Usually I have notes to keep myself in order because I'm a little naturally scatterbrained, so you're getting to know me a little better today. Here's the other thing, guys. The other thing that the Lord's really been showing me is that slowing down and doing less is what we want. It is what we want. If you're anything like me, you are craving that like slow, intentional life where you wear like pretty dresses and flowy skirts and, nice jeans, and you feel confident as you step slowly. You want to feel feminine, right? Like that need to like feel feminine and soft and gentle and slow. I feel that. I don't know if you're with me here. I don't know if you feel that too. But I feel that, like that need to just slow down and feel like a woman. I don't know how else to word that. Like, yeah, women can be fast and strong and all those things, but that's not what feels feminine to me. That's not what I'm striving for. I do want to be feminine. I do want to slow down. I want to be intentional. I want to feel confident at the end of the day that I showed up in a way that aligns with my values. And so that leads me into the first step, guys. The first step is, I guess, to notice all this awareness. So I guess we're leading into the second step. Yeah. Okay, so we kind of touched on the first step. Step 1, if you're taking notes or mentally jotting this down, step 1 is to be aware of the story you're telling yourself and the emotion that it's causing. Step 2 is to... I just forgot step 2. What were we talking about? I just said this leads us into step 2. Oh, haha. I just said haha out loud. Anyways, that's what it was. The step 2, guys, is to know your values. Like, you could probably go to the top 5. But I wouldn't, go past that, honestly. Usually I do the top 3 or 4. But in the coaching curriculum, we actually have you pick your top 5 and add that in to the coaching tools. And it all like blends together so nicely. It's just, wow. And so it's been really powerful getting to learn them in the coaching certification process, but then, kind of think to myself, how does this apply to marriages, and how can we, tweak these things, best use them to create the most change? It's just been really powerful because I get to use it in my own marriage and then learn from how I use it and take note of how I want to apply it in the coaching program for my clients. So if you're interested in hearing about that, I am starting to open up spots for the coaching program. Both spouses get to go through it at the same time. It is super, super cheap considering that you get coaching for both of you. And my husband always chimes in whenever I'm coaching a couple so that you also get the man's perspective. And I think that makes the guys more open to it and makes it more valuable, for him to share his perspective and also just give the guy a voice, so the guy doesn't feel like he's just there getting ragged on and nobody understands his perspective, which obviously we do not husband bash. That is not something we do in our Facebook group. It's not something that we do on coaching. That is something that we will never do. We also don't use the D word. We do not talk about divorce at all. And no one is allowed to even suggest that in the Facebook group or on the coaching. So, because I would assume that if you're coming into our program, you're not looking to get a divorce. So, all right, we went through step 1 and step 2. Now, the final step, guys, to slowing down and being okay with slowing down is to decide you're going to slow down. I know that sounds really silly, but I did something this week that was so freeing to me. One, I had someone else say to me, just focus on one thing. And I needed that permission. I needed someone to give me permission to put everything else aside and say, we're just going to focus on this thing, and then we will get to the next step when we finish this thing. Even if it's not exactly on schedule, it's okay. And so I'm here to give you permission to slow down. If you need someone to give you permission, I'm giving you permission. If you need someone to give you permission to just focus on one thing and put the other projects off, here I am. I'm giving you permission. I want you to internalize that, and I want you to actually tell yourself, it's okay if I don't get everything done in my day the way that I want to. It's okay if I don't get all the projects done at once. It's okay if I don't reach my 10-year size goal in one. Okay, because if you're like me, I set enormous goals that are just really unrealistic, and then, there's pros and cons to that, okay? I'm not saying it's a completely bad thing, but my problem is actually focusing on one thing at a time, and that's why I'm making this episode. So, I hope this is encouraging. I want you to literally practice these thoughts, okay? And I just want you to feel the peace wash over you. Like, I want you to intentionally take a deep breath, fix your posture. If you're slouching, sit up. Roll your shoulders back, breathe, feel the peace wash over you, like intentionally feel peaceful. And I want you to notice what thoughts you were thinking to feel peaceful, right? Because when we intentionally create emotion, when we strengthen an emotion or when we decrease an emotion, we do it through our thoughts. It's through what we're thinking. So I just want you to notice, what thoughts are you thinking that make you feel peaceful? How can you intentionally think those things during the day? And for me, what that looks like is I decided if I get off schedule, if I decide I want to take a moment to go sit on the porch with my kids instead of cleaning the house, I'm going to just breathe and say, it's okay that I don't get everything done right now because I'm living in accordance to my values. Yes, a clean house is one of the things that I value, but it does not come before quality time with my kids. It doesn't come before intentional time to pour into them and give them cuddles. And that's what my toddler was needing. So you know what? I did it. I did it because he needed it and he needed a cuddle, and I gave him a cuddle. And I felt so good about that, even though it meant I didn't get the house cleaned. The other thing that I want to mention here is that screen addiction has played a huge role in this for me, and I have intentionally drawn back from screens over and over again. We put our TV on a cart. For the longest time, we only had the DVD player. We did end up getting a little smart box thing. It's like a Roku, but it's not a Roku. And honestly, I think about throwing that thing away all the time because I think we'd use the TV less, but I like being able to play YouTube so I can like watch stuff on the TV because it's bigger. But we literally roll it into the closet because I don't like to look at it and I don't want it to be an idol in our home. And it still gets used more than I want to some weeks. Like if we're extremely exhausted or whatever's going on, we just need to watch TV, it comes out. But like I try to put it back in the closet. The other thing is my phone and my laptop. Those are the two big things for me personally because I work and then I get like addicted to like checking my email or checking my messages on Messenger or looking at my Facebook notifications and seeing if so-and-so replied to my comment or like all this stupid stuff. And I don't even post on social media consistently. I literally only post in my Facebook group pretty much. And yeah, it's still just a thing. Like, and then I'm logging on to check my podcast downloads because we're growing, guys. Thank the Lord. Thank Jesus. Seriously. Keep sharing the podcast. Keep screenshotting it, putting it on your stories. Keep sending it to your friends. Keep adding reviews. It helps so much. We are growing. And I'm actually starting to hear back from women who this is helping. And wow, is that encouraging. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Thank you for doing your part too. Just before I move on from that, I do want to just say thank you for doing your part and sharing the show. And sorry if you can hear that. That's my butter popping in the pan because real life episode today. We are cooking dinner. Okay, now back to what I was saying. Screen addiction has been huge because it makes my brain crazy. Like if I'm on a screen too much, I get like crazy brain and I can't focus on anything and I do not show up as the mom or the wife or the homemaker that I want to be. I don't even show up in my business the way I want to when I am, going through a season of like a screen addiction because it kind of comes and goes. Like it'll be more intense and then I'll notice it and draw back and then I kind of go in these waves. So if you're not even to the point where you can notice it and draw back, then I really encourage you to just start there. Like just start trying to be aware of it and notice when it's affecting your mood or affecting your day or affecting your mind. The other thing too is just I used to have a flip phone. Sorry, hopefully I can edit that out. Cutting my meat open. For those of you who don't know, I used to have a flip phone. And me and my husband both got them to reduce our screen addiction. Well, then my flip phone broke and it didn't have a warranty on it. My husband's actually broke before mine and his did. And then we were kind of in the place where we're like, do we just buy me a new phone, like the cheap one that I had, or do we buy me the more expensive one that he had that has a warranty, or do I just put my SIM into the iPhone that I was only using for work at the time on Wi-Fi and use that? So just to like be effective and save money at the time, we decided I was going to use the iPhone, and I have not, I still plan on going back to a flip phone in all honesty, but right now this has just been the most convenient to not have to go research phones and decide which one I want to buy and buy it and all the different parts of that. So, yeah, that's the other thing too is I loved having a flip phone because it meant I could set my work aside and know that if my husband texted or called me, I could still get in contact with him. And I don't exactly have that luxury now that I'm using the iPhone, but I have been very, very strategic in how I use the iPhone, like how I have it set up, because it's very customizable now. So I actually have the iPhone on black and white. I have my widgets, like I have my home screen. I have two screens for my home screen, and I have it set up very intentionally so that I only see what I need to see. And all my other apps are on the right side. And I don't really have a lot of apps. I refuse to download every app in the world. And I don't have room for that on my phone anyways. It's a smaller phone. So, okay, that's my little rant. So I guess you could say that's the next step, is just reduce your screen addiction, because that could be playing a part of this. So sorry that my steps are messy. Let me just go ahead and reiterate everything for you, because this has been, like I said, very raw, real, messy. It's like you're in my kitchen with me while I'm cooking dinner, and you heard my kids earlier, and you heard my vulnerable story about how I teared up and got choked up on a coaching call. So you're like my best friend now. So yeah, it's okay. Let's just go over the steps one more time. So if you didn't write them down now. Okay, step one. Step one is to know that it's happening, right? Be aware. Step one is just to be aware that this whole process is playing out, right? You're feeling rushed because you're thinking a thought. It's causing an emotion that's then causing you to act the way you're acting, which is, if you're listening to this episode, is most likely not how you want to be showing up. So that's step one. Step two. Step two is to know your values, because that is literally how you decide everything else. And you decide how you need to think and feel to be content at the end of the day and know that you showed up according to your values. But if you don't know your values, then it's kind of hard to do that, if that makes sense. So that's step two. Step three is to tell yourself it's okay. What you say to yourself matters, because guess who's listening? You are. I know, it sounds so simple, and yet I really did not understand the power of it. I don't think I've shared my whole story of, my salvation journey and everything, but there was a point when I wandered away as a teenager, and I got very into new age type of beliefs and just that whole world. And during that time, I really saw some of this stuff, and I got into some of the mindset work and, affirmations, all that, but in the new agey way. And so once I went back to Christ, I really avoided that stuff once I realized, it was evil and not rooted in Jesus. But then I kind of avoided anything that even sounded familiar, which included coaching techniques. And so it wasn't until I actually went through this coaching certification that I realized how biblically aligned this stuff actually is. There's actually a biblical grounds for it, and I can't wait to talk about that in an upcoming episode. But seriously, guys, there's scripture that backs this up. So anyways, I tell you that because sometimes thinking these things oh, you need to think these thoughts or repeat these things to yourself, it can sound new agey or woohoo or roll your eyes, but there's biblical grounds for minding the way we think and minding the way we speak. So I just want to remind you guys of that. And that's step 3. Say things to yourself that remind you it's okay to slow down. It's okay to not do everything perfectly. It's okay to not do everything at all. Okay? Step 4, reduce your screen addiction, because it's likely driving you crazy and cluttering your mind. All right, guys, that's everything. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm sorry that it's so long and messy, but okay. It's okay, guys, right? It's okay. Thanks for following along, and I hope that you guys are willing to leave a review and just keep tuning in and share this with your friends, please. Thanks. Bye. Oh, before I go, if you want a coaching call, there's still some for free. I'm still offering them for free. I'm not doing this forever, so if you're even thinking about it, just book a free coaching call. It's free. What do you have to lose? Let's learn how to be a better wife, learn some coaching tools, and show up well. All right. See you in the next episode. Bye.